What up, what up? Zach Bradshaw, long-winded guy here. Back to talk about, well, not actually Bitcoin this time. This time we're going to be talking about shitcoins. Once again, another video for my little brother, but just to illustrate a point that, I should be documenting anyway. So um, right now I'm supposed to be in a business meeting, but they canceled. And I had one at 1 o'clock as well. Right now it's 2 o'clock or 2:15, whatever. But my 2 o'clock canceled. I was in a 1 o'clock when this happened, and I was getting my alerts and getting annoyed as I saw this price drop, because I had a I was going to do a manual stop somewhere in this candle here, and then look to buy down here because I thought it might come down here and it might come down lower, but I wanted to catch this bounce if it had a bounce like that. And I definitely would have caught it if I wasn't in a business meeting or if somebody like my little brother knew my rules of trading and could help me, manage some of these positions when I'm doing something and vice versa. But um, as this was running up or just before it, I'm looking like, Bitcoin's looking a little toppy here. And so I went and looked at Ripple because I know my brother's still invested in this shitcoin over here. And I was like, oh, golly, it was probably something like this, to be fair. I feel like it was this candle. What am I on here? An hourly? So what must have just been this candle. Somewhere in here. Yeah, probably these wicks getting put in after this high set in right here. And I sent him a text. I was like, Tucker, you really need to learn how to sell the tops or whatever, and blah, 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 blah. Or, well, maybe I sent him that text this morning because I was looking at, I guess, well, Bitcoin hadn't done its run up yet. It was at another decision phase. I didn't know whether it was going to break down off of 38 or whether it was going to go up higher. It ended up going up higher. And so I guess Ripple played around a little bit longer. I'm not quite sure on the matchup here. I know that when I was looking at this and I sent him the text, I was also looking at the XRP Bitcoin chart. And maybe it's because we were already talking about that. I forget the order of operations. Tucker, you get it. But the point that I want to make about this, what I was trying to say to him was like, you need to sell the top, and our conversation continued. And once I got off this meeting, I sent him a text. I was like, man, Tucker, I wanted to tell you to sell that top. Sorry, my bad. And he was like, it doesn't matter. It's gonna keep going up. But I just want to illustrate this point. So I'm here on the Ripple versus dollar chart. And if you take a look at this, you take a look at this, Tuck. Uh, from this point up here, you could have easily, this is like an indication to sell in here. You easily could have sold somewhere in this candle. And you could have potentially had new levels. I don't know. I probably wouldn't have caught that level. This looks, not to say manipulated, but I'm sure the whales play, like, I'm sure the whales run the show more than Bitcoin and Ripple. But if you were able to catch the bounce, even though right now it still looks like it's probably going down, Tuck, right? And I was trying to say, well, you don't sell the whole top, or you don't sell everything, right, out at the top. You might sell 10 or 25% so that you can then buy back later. You don't want to sell all of it out because that would be too risky if you think it's still going up, which Ripple is technically on an uptrend, for example, on this hourly chart, and probably on lower time frames as well, like as or a higher time frame as well, as much as a daily. I'm not sure. Weekly, it looks like it's got like one bounce candle in. Yeah. So it's not an uptrend on the week. Well, I guess it. Mm, no, it's not an uptrend on the weekly, but probably is on like something like the monthly. So let's get back down to this hourly chart. If you were able to sell the stop, right now it's come down 16% that you could have bought back in at for a new better position, right? You still had your whatever you bought down here or whatever to sell at a higher price, but you could sell this top. Now you buy back 16% lower, which once you flip that around, oh wait, I actually did this the wrong way to begin with. No, I guess I did it right. So it goes down 18%. But then once you buy it on the way back up, it'll be a different percentage and it'll actually be a higher percent. So you save, you're lowering your risk by selling up here. you are making yourself more safe. You lock in profit off of these buys. You should do that by itself, right? You know, you need to figure out some rules, how you want to do it, what your ultimate goal is or whatever. But in the midst of that, you're able to pick up these small moves, and Bitcoin and these shitcoins like to bounce a lot. So this thing, even though this is probably going to still go down, in the same hour that this dropped off of this cliff here, I wonder what this looked like on like a 15-minute. It wasn't quite a wedge, but you could, I mean, you can make some diagonals in here, but I don't like trade off of diagonals. Like you could probably throw something up here and say, okay, if it breaks below this line, get out of it. I mean, that's a pretty strong diagonal. So if it breaks below this line, get out of it because you know it's going down. And let's just say that you sold that line, break down, and you might not sell till this closed. So you might not sell till this candle was done because right, these wicks got put in. They didn't. You'd be annoyed if you would have sold down here, right? But you sell at the bottom of this candle, you get an 11% buy, and let's just say you didn't get the 11%. You bought when the hour switched over. So, well, let's see what the percent on that will be. From this breakdown, right, and you could have done better than this. You could have just sold something at the top here, right, especially on this drive. But get your 12% down move, and then now, right, on the way back up, you had a chance to sell for 7% trade. Like I said, I think this is going down again. I think this is going to continue to go down. But you could have locked in profit here, got a buy here with a 7% bounce, and sold again. So in the course of that, right, and maybe I'm wrong, right? So maybe you want to buy for an extended position. You just want to rebuy for the upside, right? Oh, I flipped it over. Let me just stop confusing myself. Say you think it's going up from here, right? And if Bitcoin goes up, to be fair, I think it's going up too. It depends on what Bitcoin is doing, but I think Bitcoin could go as low as like 30,000 or something, depending on how quickly it did it and where it closed or whatever. It would still look like it's going up. I mean, maybe even, on long-term time frames right now, it could go down to like 16,000 and it'll look like it's still going up. So, geez, you wanna hold all the way from 35,000 all the way down to 16,000, or do you want to sell some at the top and be able to buy in again? And you can set different levels, right? This is just one. You could have another level that you say, okay, if it continues from here, I'll sell out the next 50% because now you're like, okay, it's going down. You sell out the next 50% here, still keeping your 25% for the upside, and maybe even take that 25%, you send it somewhere else so you don't have to look at it, right? And then you trade up your stack. Once you get whatever amount of Ripple you want, once you get I don't know, these coins are worth so little. Like once you get 100 Ripple or whatever, you go throw that in your cold wallet. Storage is out of your sight. You don't even know what it's growing. Don't ever look at it maybe once a year, right? That's your hodl position, your long term. And maybe even in your trading account, you want to keep 25% on at all times. But you need to learn how to sell in case this breaks down, and then also learn how to sell so that you can have better buys. Having cash on hand is more valuable than having the asset. Because if you have cash, then you can buy the asset. If you don't have cash and you can't buy the asset and you're stuck in the asset. And lots of times when these things sell, right, it ain't slow. This is going up quickly. But this was a slow grind up and a fast fall. So, right, to get back to this position, this was from 6, 9. Am I looking? Oh, I am looking at the 15-minute chart. Let's put this in a better perspective. So this took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hours, or 9 hours to get up here. It took 2 hours to get back down here. Okay, so that's the way that these assets work. I'm not sure that it happens like this everywhere. I'm sure that doesn't happen like this everywhere, but these are by everywhere, I mean in every asset. These are things that are, you think this thing is going up. I think this is going to zero. I don't think it's going to, it might survive. I mean, it depends on, I mean, it will come down to news, which is not how I like to trade. I like to trade based on seeing these patterns. And so in the long term for this one, it's coming down to news. If I want to trade based on news, then I go buy Tesla, right? And I do have Tesla. It made my stock portfolio look real nice this year, almost by itself. I mean, lots of stuff went up, and I chose easy industries, I guess, cannabis and technology and future energy, like things that were not say guaranteed wins, but then it was just a great year because I saw that this wasn't a great year. Well, I mean, 2020 was cool for me, but I saw that the coronavirus dip was coming, so I sold, and so then I was just able to buy again. It's part of it for me, so I gained more even than my portfolio did. But okay, let me shut up. Getting back into cash is important, and like what I was saying in the other video, Tucker, about buying the new time high or the all-time high. So if you sell somewhere in here, and then you have to buy back again up here when it breaks out of this whatever pattern it creates, it sucks because, like, well, you're supposed to buy low and sell high, right? But you want to make sure to get out of cash so that you don't have this freaking 20% move happen to you while you're asleep, because you can't do nothing about it then. Or when you're in a business meeting, you can't do nothing about it then. I mean, you can set up stops and stuff like that, but I think stops are very dangerous in crypto. And it looks like Bitcoin must be going back up because this thing is surging. Ooh, I kind of want to sell this. Oh, we're on a 5 minute. What's the 15 look like? Right, but you need to learn how to sell so that you can get back in, and then that's how you fold up your dough, right? You can trade to get more Ripple. So sell your dollars so that you can buy more lower, and then you have more Ripple, and then as it gets up higher, you can sell some off again, and then when it falls, you scoop up some more, and then you recycle it, and then eventually, so you can set a goal to be like, I need to get to 10,000 Ripple, right? And you cycle that up. You know, that's a good way to think about it and set goals in this, because otherwise it's just it can get really gambly. You don't want to be gambling with your dojos. So any questions on this one, just shoot. Whoever you are, Tucker, take this in. Peace.